Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the afternoon session of our Day 1 Immersive Training for Software Developers 2025. This is our first series, right? Because we had the morning session. Anybody that was in the morning session that is here, welcome back. Everybody else that is new, welcome and thank you for attending the afternoon session for our software developer training. One quick note, I did put in chat my name and where I'm from. If you guys could let me know where you're from. Also, I see people already, Ecuador, Vienna, Brazil, San Antonio. Nice. Welcome, everybody. Also, I have the link for tomorrow's session up in the very top. Please make sure you register for that. That's going to be a good one as well. So with that, let's get started. Croatia, Switzerland, nice. Lots of people. Love seeing all our customers from around the world. Vegas, my old hometown. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina now, so on the other side of the United States. So again, David Hall, your customer success manager here. I also have Victor Lima, who is a lead software engineer, and he will be presenting some key points today. So we'll be talking about data management, rate control, TagoDeploy, and then we'll wrap it up and we'll do a quick recap. I do want to go over tomorrow's agenda, though, just so everybody knows if they do sign up. We'll be talking about how to visualize data, going into custom widgets. That's always a great topic. All these are great topics, quite honestly. Using formulas, conditions, and dictionary and widgets. There's a lot of information around that, as well as data analytics and different ways to use metadata. So some of you probably heard part of this morning, but when you think of Tago, think of customization. That's really what Tago's all about, right? Been in business for 10 years, so we've had a lot of time to build onto the platform, and we're continually enhancing the platform. So make sure you sign up for our newsletter, follow us on LinkedIn to get all the greatest and latest news, especially when later on in the year, we'll be doing another one of these sessions. Tomorrow, you will receive an email to take a survey. Please take the survey. It's important to see how we did, what you want to see in the next one, as well as there is a question in there about receiving a $100 coupon code for our Learning Center certificate. What that is, and I'll show it at the end of the webinar or at the end of the training session here, but what that's for is if you take our online training courses that are free, we're going to give you a promo code to take the certificate and waive the $100 for that. So pretty cool stuff for that. So make sure you take advantage of that and respond to that survey. Leave any questions that you have in chat. Unfortunately, on the last session, 2 points to make. People wanted to speak. We do not have that enabled here. If we don't get to your question, again, you receive an email from me after this session and another one tomorrow. But you could just respond to me with any questions. I'll post a link to request a demo if somebody wants a demo. And of course, if you sign up, if you don't already have a starter account or a scale account, when you sign up, you get a 45-minute free onboarding call, and that can be to cover technical aspects. For our customers that are already on this call, if you haven't ever taken advantage of your onboarding call, I highly suggest you do that. You get to know your CSM. You get a one-on-one technical interaction with your CSM. So take advantage of those for the existing customers. It's very important to do that. And then from here, our first topic is going to be talking about data management, I believe, but I will pass that to Victor. Again, we're not going to show a bunch of slides. This is very interactive, and Victor will be sharing his screen to go over his points for this training. So without further ado, I am going to pass it over to Victor, and he can take it from there for the rest of the training session. I'll see everybody at the end. Again, ask your questions. Go ahead, Victor.
Thank you, David, for the introduction. So our goal here for this afternoon, and by the way, my name is Victor. If it's the first time you are seeing me here in the webinar, I work as an application lead developer, so I know a lot about Tago. Had worked in multiple applications And the goal for Tuesday's afternoon is to show you more on the management side of Tago. And I want to do this by sharing my screen and walking you through the different options that you can use during development and in the production side as well. So my first topic that I want to talk about is the data management. So when developing and mostly in production, you might want to face situations where you need to backup all your data from your device, maybe transfer this data to another device or even in a different profile. So you can see here I have my simulator running, so a lot of data being stored each, I believe, 5 minutes. And usually it would be very difficult for you to move this data to a different device or to just backup this data so you can clean, but keep your data saved in your file system and to recover later if you even ever need this data available again. So in immutable devices, you have a thing called chunk. And the chunk works so it can provide you with performance. And you can store your data in different chunks. And by the way, this is something you as a developer is going to choose when you create your device. So if I get this custom width right here, I have the device data optimized, the input table one, and I can select a chunk period, which is very important because we can store about 1 million data for each chunk. So if you get a daily chunk, for example, it means that you can store 1 million data for each day. And of course, you have a retention period. And for the daily is maximum of 31 days. That is how long you can keep this data stored in your device. So this is a very important decision. And of course, it's going to change from use case to use case. And just to exemplify here, the quarterly means we can store 1 million data each quarter, up to 36 quarters, or I believe about 5 or 4 years. So this is one decision that you take when you create your devices, and picking the correct option depending on your use case is going to make a difference in the future when you move to the production, have a lot of data stored, and do not reach this 1 million limit. Okay, so let's say you have used all your limits, or that you just want to move your device around between different profiles, or you want to keep your data safe, download the data to your machine. One of the tools that we have is under the chunks here, is the ability to manage your chunks, right? So for example, I can click on this chunk, export. So this is going to run on Tago, and in a couple of minutes, but really depends on how much data you have. But in a couple of minutes, it's going to store here in your files a CSV file with all the data specific to that chunk. And if you have more chunks, of course, you can select more than one and export. Have some advanced options here. Is more on which folder you want to store inside your files. So device here is going to be replaced by the device ID. So this ID here. And from 2 is just date, right? Start date and end date. But feel free to change this however you want. Include header is the header of the CSV file. So I can export, and it's going to the queue. And as soon as I get the queue finished, I'm going to receive a notification telling me that my data had been stored. So this is one way. You can delete your chunks as well if it's consuming a lot of your limits. So very important to pay attention to all these limits you have in your account, because for most of the applications is the case that if you reach the limit on most of them, data input, data output, analysis, data records is very important. It's probably that your application is going to stop working, right? Data input and data records basically walk together. And that output is going to affect your ability to get data from analysis. For example, if you are getting any kind of data through the analysis, it's going to use your data output. If you're getting data through the API, also is going to use your data output. And going back to here, we also have this data, a page where you can see all your data, and you do have the export here, which I can download to my machine, so I can export all the data available. So not by chunk, but basically all the data. So I can do that, export, and I can download the file. So if I open this CSV file, going to open here in numbers, you can see all your data, right? So you have the ID, the variable, the value, the group, location, the metadata, which I don't have any value, and the time of the data. And what is cool about the data management feature is that I can actually import back. So I can restore from files. So you can see here, it created the folder for my device. I have my device number, and I can import back the data I just did my backup, or I can manually go here to my files. I grab my export, upload here, and choose this file to import back. You can even edit this file if you want to. Change the values, add more variables, remove them, and import back. So just a quick demonstration here. Let me empty this device. So if I refresh here, I don't have any data anymore. And I can restart from files. Let's try this one. Yes, so my data should be back again fully. And this is a tool that you can also use to analysis, because we do have the SDK for devices, data backup here, that you can, a data restore that you can use through the SDK. You have an example here, how you trigger the data backup. So you have the device ID, the file address for the files, including headers or not, to start the backup of your data. You also need to pass the chunk ID. Not sure why the example don't have the chunk ID, but you need to get the chunk ID. And by the way, you do have the ability to get a chunk. And you get all the chunks, so you can loop through them and automatically do the backups. So very powerful tool, and makes it very easy to manage data as you move through the development cycle, and even the production cycle. There's a lot of situations where this come to save your device or save your platform several times. A lot of customers do the automations with analysis to automatically set up backups. I'm not sure if you are going to bring this as an action in the future. We have been releasing a lot of actions. Downlink action is coming. Possible that backup actions maybe in the future. And talking about development cycle, I also want to touch on the control tower. So if you have been going to production, working production, you should have come across these hard limits at some point, or is going through come through this. Because when you go to production, you start to get, let's say, thousands, millions of devices. You start to use a lot of these resources, and it's important to know that you have a limit. It's based on your type of account. So if you are free, you have a set number. If you are scale, and if you are starter, you have different sets of limits. For scale accounts, uh, it's important to know that you can request through our support to increase these limits. But let's talk about how this works. So you have the hard limits. The hard limits basically tells how much of a specific resource you can have within your profile. So for example, I can have 15 dictionaries. I can create the networks. I can have 200 analyses, 200 actions in this single profile here that I am using. And let me see if there is a very important one here. Okay. And the other limit is the request. So you have hard limit for requests, which is how many requests you can do by minute. This is also, let me take a bit of water here. So this is very important because analysis use RPM, and I saw people asking if it's used for API or if it affects other parts of your application, and it does. So it affects your analysis calls. So each one of these requests that you do, for example, device, you can do an info to get information about your device. This is going to use your RPM for device get here. So you can see you can do 15,000 requests per minute in this single profile. If you are using a different profile, it's going to use a different limit. And you can see here, I do have the control tower enabled. And as we do track your usage, we start to give you how much percent your application is using from these limits. I believe this is collected each hour. So for example, here I have used about 25% of all my limits, just having this Kickstarter operating daily. And you are going to get the warnings when you are reaching here 8%, 9% of the limits. And this tells a lot about the life of your application, because if you reach the limits, you can, if you are a scale account, request to increase, but usually you want to use best practice to not reach these limits. You do have advanced statics here with the control tower. You can see how much you've been using, which periods of the day. This is achieving a high peak. So this is all to help you monitor application, identify when something unusual is happening, what can be related to that problem. Because sometimes these limits do not reach the maximum through all the day, is more in high peak hours when you have lots of devices sending data at the same time. So you can use these tools to try to understand what's going on. And when I talk about best practice, I do talk about how you develop your application, right? because you can be doing a device info for every single analysis that you have. You may doing a loop that is running this device info in a list of 10,000 devices or even more. And you want to add this some delay between these requests so you do not reach this limit in a single minute. I know the Kickstarter has a lot of code that takes that into account, so I do suggest looking at the Kickstarter code. Let me show here how the Kickstarter code handles different situations, especially regarding this kind of operations. For example, reports probably is going to have code that delays the operations, and we try to put all this in the Kickstarter so you can have a reference when trying to achieve similar results. By the way, one of the good practices in analysis using a library called AsyncQ. Of course, you can use any library that you want that achieve the same method. But AsyncQ is very good because you can create a queue using it for JavaScript, of course. But you can create a queue and add the items on that queue so it starts to consume the queue. Oh, this one is for Python. Good to know that has one for Python. Didn't know about that. But it's going to consume the queue. I believe it's just async. And you can spread how much operations you are doing asynchronously or at the same time. So I do suggest taking a look at this library. Very useful tools for when you need to do a lot of carries at the same time and spread this carry through time. The control tower also comes with information about your device. So if I go to the freezer here, you can see I have these statics enabled at the side. So this allows me to see on each device what are the peaks for that specific device, for that input and that output. In development, this is good if you are doing tests to see how your application is operating. For example, sending a lot of data, doing a lot of analysis, and usually analysis is going to add this data back to the device, maybe format the data or some calculations. So you can see how much it's going to be using before it goes to production and you start to have problems. You can also manage the soft limits. So this is another tool that the control tower brings to your devices. So you can, by device, set up how many requests this specific device can do by minute. So for example, if you expect your device to be sending one data a day, you can limit here. So in no way we are going to accept more than 10 data by minute, right? If your device is sending a lot of requests in a single minute, it means something is wrong with that device. Same goes to the data output. You can limit here. And you can also do this in the entire profile if you want to. So if I go here to my Kickstarter profile, I'm going to have in the More tab option to set up a soft limit that's going to apply to my full profile. So every single device in this profile is going to have this soft limit applied, which you can override. If you set up in the device, you can override this. You can configure this through analysis as well. When you create a device or edit a device, you can set up the soft limits immediately. So I hope these tools helps you do not have problem in the future. I strongly suggest enabling control tower more in development, because you can check how your device is or your application is doing. In the production, of course, having the ability to monitor and immediately check which device is consuming all your statistics does help a lot. If you don't have it enabled, we are not collecting the metrics for your device, so there's no use to enable it only when you are having problem, because you won't have the metrics. It only collects the metrics when you have the control tower enabled. Okay, and if there are no questions, David, I move to the TagoDeploy, which I think is one of the great news for this year on Tago.
Absolutely. TagoDeploy is great. I'm really excited for you to be explaining that to our people on the training session. There are no questions right now, but as a reminder, feel free to ask questions in the chat if you have any questions at all. We're scheduled to go till 3:15, but we'll see. I don't think we'll be going that long this afternoon, so maybe be able to give you guys some time back. We'll just play it by ear and find out when we'll be wrapping it up for the afternoon. But again, before Victor gets started, make sure you register for tomorrow's session. Link is up at the top of the chat. I'd love to see you all there in that session as well. Go ahead, Victor.
Yeah. So I think I'm working in this project that we call TagoDeploy, which allows you to actually deploy your own instance of TagoIO, which means you have this full platform deployed by us that is only for you. It means we are not sharing APIs with other customers, because, as you know, TagoIO runs in a multi-tenancy instance. Everyone is accessing the same API, which means if the API falls down or if anything happens at all, fortunately, we have little, basically, not much problems. But anything everyone does can affect you. And TagoDeploy comes to solve this problem, as well as giving you the ability to deploy in any country that you want, and it's available to the TagoDeploy, such as Europe, Japan, United States, and go on. So let me go TagoDeploy again. So this platform is a dedicated platform that you have full monitor of CPU utilization. So how are the API that is exclusive for you is operating, how much is using. Very important if you have a lot of devices are doing very hard and difficult work for the APIs and using a lot of analysis. If I have just a couple of devices, let's say if I have 200 devices, I don't think TagoDeploy is going to be much of a difference. But if you have a lot of devices, I'm talking about 1,000 or even more, I think TagoDeploy is going to save you a lot of costs as well, because you have full control of what you are being charged here. You're not following our pricing. So TagoIO, as you know, you are going to be billed here for that input, that output, the specific amount as you drag these options around. But in TagoDeploy, you are paying directly what we use from AWS. So if you have only one machine running, you have that fixed cost, right, for that machine. So it makes much easier to manage costs. That is not going to scale just because you have more devices that are using more data inputs.
We do have a question here from Gabriel Victor. Looks like, Gabriel, if you're speaking, well, basically what he's saying here, if he's working with two different companies, Apple and Google as example, we don't want Apple to see Google's devices and data and vice versa. Would just separating them by tenant do this? If you're talking from a TagoDeploy standpoint, then it would just be two different projects within your single deploy. I believe would be the answer there. I'll let Victor expand on that a little bit. But even just in regular, not TagoDeploy, but your Tago admin, you could have one profile for customer A and one profile for customer B, and you wouldn't be able to see each other's data because each of them have their own Tago run, which is the end user experience, which TagoDeploy has run as well. But you could do the same within the Tago admin outside of TagoDeploy. TagoDeploy, as Victor is explaining, just gives you much more freedom on your cost, on your scaling, and things like that. So I think I answered the question.
Yeah, I'm not sure if his question was inside Tago platform or TagoDeploy, because TagoDeploy is the full platform, right? So you are creating an instance for the entire platform. Even the URL here is going to be different and unique to you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Gabriel. Thank you.
So moving around here, you'll be able to access the space, see all that we have offering here. And of course, I'm going to show you how TagoDeploy works. So you have dedicated resources, much more security and protection of your data. You can monitor all your costs. You can scale as you go. So if you need more CPU, you just can add more. All the limits, let's say you have these limits for tags, limits on how much devices you can have. You can set up all this by yourself and manage as much as you want, as long as you keep track of your metrics for your API, is CPU utilization, memory utilization, and we make this very easy for you to track. I'm going to show you. And of course, you can deploy in any region, so you can meet a lot of legal issues that you can have, since TagoIO currently only works in Europe and United States. So you can go here and create your account and start to see how this works. But I'm going to show my instance here. So give me a minute. Here, I am on my account. So when you first enter this screen, you're probably not going to have any projects. And here are messages from our team, and you can create your first project. For example, create a new project. And we plan to have your cloud. So coming soon, we are going to be able to deploy on your AWS account or your Google account. We plan to, or Azure. I think these three at least we plan to support. For now, the only option you have is the TagoIO dedicated, which means we are going to host on our AWS account all the instance and give you only the access to the TagoDeploy to manage. You can select the region, so you can deploy anywhere you want. Here you have some information. You can have the version from Tago, so if Tago updates, this is not going to affect you. You can keep using the version your full application is working, and just update when you have tested or have confidence that it's not going to break your application, or you want to use the new features. And you can press launch projects. It's going to launch an instance just for you. So I'm going to show how it looks like. So you can see here I have my own API address. So if I want to perform request to the API, I have my own my instance. I can go to manage, and here I can see the deployments. So if I do a new deployment by changing, for example, the version, from Tago. It's going to generate a new deploy, and you can track all the details from here. You have the services. So as you know, since you are paying AWS directly, right? I'm going to show the bills first. I think this is more important. So probably David can tell much more about the billing than me, but the way it works is that you have a fee that you are going to pay to Tago. I don't remember the percent. And you have the service from AWS that you are using, which you are going to show you fully here. So very transparent. You have our our amount here and the Amazon one, and you can track how much you are using for each service. And you have the cost daily, so you can track. So basically, this is all about the billing page. You can check every single thing on how you are spending your money. If I go to services here, as you know, TagoIO has a lot of service like action handler for triggering your actions, payload parser, you have SMS, emails, all these are things that are charged from AWS. So you have here the flexibility to completely disable the service that you are not using, so you don't pay anything. You can change the number of instances for that specific service. If you are using a lot and you're seeing that your machines are not handling the amount of requests you are doing. Same thing, go for limits here. So the way limits, I believe I need to show you in the order here. I believe it's better. So let me show the collaborators. So collaborators is who's is giving access to this page and can manage your instances. So you can invite other collaborators to help you manage and have view of the instance. You have your domains. So as you have different endpoints, taking a while to load. So I have different endpoints for the API, for the admin. You can create a new domain. So you have your domain on things like GoDaddy, AWS, or Azure. You can start to add your domain here. You'll get your DNS records, so you can add to your domain. And you can actively have different domains for your API and admin. Same will go on as I go to the add-ons, because we are going to add add-ons for the TagoDeploy, such as the MQTT broker. We plan to have also embedded networks, such as Chirpstack, that you can deploy from here. And even that you don't want to use the instance, you can still use the add-ons to get the MQTT broker, for example. So you only pay for your own MQTT broker, deploy from here, and connect to TagoIO multi-tenant the same way. And you will be able to manage the domains from here. You're also going to have backups. So this is something that is going to be running periodically. I'm going to show you here the services for the main database, where you configure when your backups are happening. So this will be, from here you can start a new project or even restore your backups. Billing, I will show you. Then we have accounts. So as I did mention, here we are deploying an instance of TagoIO itself, right? Let me close out this. And when you try to access Tago, you have your own account to log in. Like I have mine here for Victor FDL, Tago.io. So here is where you manage your accounts. So from here, you can create new accounts that is going to have their own profile inside your instance, which means you can have multiple applications running inside the same instance using different profiles. and different people to access, and with access to different profiles. The limits, I think I already gone through this. And by the way, this is set by profile, so you can see here, you can set up the limits specifically for Fabio here, our CEO. So you can manage these limits, and probably in, for example, if this profile is not supposed to have actions, you can set it to 0, and that's another layer of security to your instance. Under the system here is where you manage the versions. So as versions come out, you come here to update. You will be able to see your release notes from here for that specific version. Also has the open connectors, because you can get all these connectors to your instance. This is open source from our decoders repository, and you can synchronize directly from here. And it's your choice if you want to be up to date or not with our latest versions of all the decoders. And you also can terminate the project. We plan to have much more features here, so keep on track of our news to see what we are going to release. For the service, this is how you are going to monitor and manage how much instances you have. So for API here, you can pick the machine that you want, how many instances of that machine you want available. For example, I can have a maximum instance of 3, on when this instance is going to scale up to reaching 3, or the call down for scaling down. You can track your usage from here, so you can see our CPU utilization is 2%, very low. Memory utilization, you can see different periods. So, for example, if you come to this page and you see CPU utilization is hitting 9%, 8%, is a good indicative that something is going wrong with your application, as you have heavy loads or peak of heavy loads. So you need to manage your instance or work in the application to remove these heavy loads that you are having. You have the database, so same things. You can check how many connections database you are having, IOPs, throughputs, how many memories, CPU utilization. And we plan to have a documentation explaining how all this works and what are good indicative of problems, what you should be looking for. As I did mention, you can manage your machine for the database, reader instances, which is for production, it's very important to have at least one. Backup detection period, so you can configure when the backup or database is going to happen. Then you have in memory. In memory only affects analysis, so if you are not on analysis, I believe there are a few queues on Tago that runs in memory. But same thing, you can set up here additional reader applicants, review and apply, see how in-memory database is working. And analysis runtime is only the memory available for analysis. So as you know, TagoIO has about the multi-tenant instance here, which I believe every one of you are using. Do have a limit of memory or how much data you can work within an analysis at the same time. Because of the memory limits, here you can go as much as AWS lets you go. Same goes for Python, and you have the monitoring tools to check how this is going. Lastly, you have the add-ons here. And add-ons is something that is going to grow very quickly as we are finishing to work on different add-ons that we want the TagoDeploy users to have available. As I did mention, MQTT broker is coming soon. So you will be able to have your own broker using, for example, certificates with MTLS. You probably will be able to deploy the relay here as well if you are using a different broker from somewhere else and want to connect that broker to Tago. We plan to have Chirp Stack as option to deploy here. Custom mobile app is coming soon as well for the TagoDeploy, so you can have the app for your own instance. And I think that's all I have to show you on the TagoDeploy. And by the way, let me see if I have an account. I do have. So just to show you how this looks. So I have my own admin here that I can log in. Let me see if I do remember my password. I probably don't remember. Can I reset from here? Okay, so I'll need to restore my password because I really do not remember.
We had one gentleman, Douglas, asked if TagoDeploy, when it's going to be available, and I've already answered him. But for the group that hadn't seen the message in chat, TagoDeploy is available now. As Victor has mentioned, we are doing some small enhancements, but we already have customers doing proof of concept on it and things like that. So it is available now. If you want to learn more, we'll be glad to hop on a call with you for a one-on-one demo. Matter of fact, I'll post a link where you could schedule a demo. It doesn't have to be just for TagoDeploy. You ask any questions you want on that demo, but I'll go ahead and post that. And for our current customers that have starter and scale account, keep in mind, as the CSM, I don't see a lot of customers take advantage of your free 45-minute onboarding call. This would be a great topic for that call and any other questions you have. So make sure you take advantage of your onboarding call. But in the meantime, I'll post a link for the demo as Victor continues here.
Yeah, I just wanting to show you that, as you can see, is the full platform. You have profiles, you have everything. You have the Tago Run as well. So everything using your own domain. So TagoIO.net here you can get rid of. And you can call TagoIO for yourself. I think that's all I have to show on the TagoDeploy, David.
Okay, that sounds good. I think that was our last topic for today, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Go over a couple things with you, nice people. So a couple things on our website. So I mentioned that in the survey email that you'll be getting tomorrow, please take the survey. But one of those questions is, would you like the promo code for the certificate? I don't remember the exact words, but it's close to that. So what that means is if you go to resources in the Learning Center, these are free, by the way. Anybody can take them. This is a great way to get to know Tago. Even if you've been using Tago for a year, you're going to learn something that you didn't know in these training modules. I guarantee it. So the 100 are really the fundamentals, right? And then the 200 series, and these are self-paced, right? These are a little more advanced. But at the end, when you finish all these modules, there is a certificate that you can obtain. That certificate normally is $100. If you respond to that survey and say, yes, I want the promo code, then we will provide that promotion code for you for free and waive that $100 so you can have their certificate as well, which is pretty important. I've seen customers that they've been using Tago for a while. They had a bunch of questions. They took these training sessions, took the certificate, and they were just really able to enhance their application from a technical level as well. But for beautifying your application, right, there's lots of things you can do here. Let me go back. So yes, these are free templates, but a couple things I want to point out, right, is instead of having a basic looking dashboard, right, Like these here are where you can make it, all these are separate widgets, but it certainly doesn't look like that. So there's a lot of things you can do to really make your application very, very cool looking, right? This is just one example. But back to these templates, you can download these templates. They're free. You can download them, and once you have them in your profile, you own them. You can do whatever you like with them. Like this is a pretty cool one too. How you could kind of still see the background. You know, there's a lot you could do with Tago as far as not just from a technical standpoint. Of course, there's a lot you could do there, but to really make your dashboard really beautiful for your end user, whether that end user is internal to you, maybe somebody within your company, or it's a customer that you have, right? So there's a lot of things there that you could take advantage of. Also, one other thing I would like to point out is our help center, right? If you're not taking advantage of the help center, this is a great place just to type in a question and ask, right? And also the community, right? You can ask questions in the community as well. So with that, let me do one other thing. Let me log into my dashboard. I want to show you something else that just a lot of people don't know about. So see this question mark over here? If you click on that and say ask documentation, and we're enhancing this all the time. Matter of fact, Victor is the one that's leading this with his development team. You can ask connectors, right? And it's going to come back. And I believe at some point, Victor, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to be enhancing this for analysis and things like that. There's already some stuff here, but this is a great resource that people just don't really know about, right? So that's also pretty cool.
We plan actually to bring AI to Tago. You'll be able to use your own models.
Nice.
And we are going to bring a ability to global search with AI to find devices in your account, collect data, analyze the data. Of course, all using your own AI of your choice, your model. If you want to connect to OpenAI, it's your choice. It's something that you need to go there and enable, connect your keys, and we are fully thinking about security of your data and your information here.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. So that's really cool. Also, you can access the community here, ask questions. You can vote on things. By the way, our roadmap is public. A lot of people that I speak to, they don't realize that. You can get to the roadmap from our website as well, vote on things. But the community is where you might want a feature request or maybe an enhancement. You would post that in community or just reach out to your customer success manager like myself. I cover the US and Canada, and we have other customers covering, other customer success managers covering other parts of the world. So I highly recommend to start interacting with your customer success manager, even if it's just an introduction, right? So they get to know you a little bit, because what I find as a customer success manager is our customers, not all of them, but most of our customers do not take advantage of their customer success manager because they don't know what their role is, right? So I like to put it very simple. Think of your customer success manager as everything Tago, right? And what do I mean by everything Tago? Maybe you need 20 minutes. Maybe you're stuck on analysis or so. You have some technical thing that you're stuck on, right? Of course, post in the community and take those routes, but also rely on your customer success manager to help you grow. It's in our title, success, right? That is our goal, is to make sure you're successful on the platform. That's everything from optimization to help keep your costs down, right? I mean, Tago's fairly cheap anyway, but who doesn't like saving a little more money, right? Like using metadata, and there's a bunch of optimization things that your customer success manager can suggest to you and help. So I can't stress enough, take advantage of your CSM. They're a great resource for you. With that, I know we finished a little early here. I put a note where you can request in the chat. I put a note where you can request a demo. You can do that. But again, if you're already a customer, then you don't really need to request a demo. You could just reach out to your CSM. We're sending emails quite often to get on a call with them, and we could help you with anything that you may be struggling with or just general questions that you may have, right? But if you're new to Tago and you want to learn more, not just on the topics we went over this morning and in this session here, the afternoon session, I would ask for a demo, and you get a one-on-one tailored demo for what you want to learn, not what we want to talk about, what you need to know, right? Of course, we do general demos where we just go through the platform and let you know what Tago Run is and the end user experience and what you could do from a developer standpoint. So there's lots of stuff with Tago, right? As I said, Tago's been around 10 years, so we've had a long time to enhance our developer experience on the platform, as well as your end user experience, right? Meaning your customers, their experience with Tago Run. So there's a lot to it. I know we're wrapping up a little early. I already anticipated that, but I didn't know if we were going to have a lot of questions or what, and we had a few. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for the day, but please respond to the survey tomorrow afternoon. I'll be sending you an email here shortly as well, just thanking you for this and giving you the link for the sessions for tomorrow, right? But other than that, I appreciate everybody's time. These are extremely popular, so follow us on LinkedIn, apply for our newsletter, sign up for the newsletter, keep an eye out on events. There's all kinds of different channels where you can see what's coming up. We're doing webinars all the time. Matter of fact, while I'm here, let's look at that real quick. Our next webinar is Deploying Portals and Mobile Apps for IoT Solutions, February 18th at 11 a.m. I'll be hosting that with Claus, which actually Claus will be a presenter with me tomorrow. So with that, I want to thank Victor. Thank you, Victor, for taking the time today. I think it was very useful and everything, so appreciate that. And other than that, we hope to talk to everybody tomorrow, and have a good rest of your day, afternoon, or morning, wherever you're at in the world. We've got a lot of people here from all around the world. So thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.